Hello and welcome back to Comic Vantage, and today is New Comic Book Day, and these are the books released for the week of Wednesday, November 7th, 2018. So this is the day I pick out some books to read, and I give you a giant spoiler-filled review. So if you don't want spoilers, make sure you back out now, or check out the timestamps down below. You can just skip books that you do not want spoiled. So let's get started. First book this week is we have X-23 number 6 from Marvel Comics. And this brings us the furthering adventures of Laura Kinney and Gabby Kinney. I love Gabby. She's an absolutely amazing character. Probably one of the best characters to come out of Marvel Comics in the last 20 years. Love her to death. Now this story here, it may not be for everyone. It was more of a fun, kind of light-hearted sort of story, and it was really Gabby-centric. And we have Laura and Gabby going undercover at a high school, which is kind of interesting. So Gabby is actually playing a student, Laura is playing the gym teacher, and they're trying to track down some rogue cloning operation, which really ties into the first 5 issues that were out, where, you know, the Cuckoos kidnapped a scientist who was doing cloning, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. They think it's one of the teachers, because all of this cloning equipment is being delivered to a FSC, which they think is a biology teacher named Fraser St. Clair. Turns out it stands for Failbrook Science Club. And the mean girl of the school, her name is Suki Callum, is actually the one behind this, and she also built this giant robot. Apparently she is very smart. So there's a big throwdown match between Gabby and this giant robot, and they capture Suki, and yeah. So, you know, it was an alright story. It was cute. Not your typical, you know, X story. But you know, it was fun. I liked it. But if it's not your thing, you know, you're not going to miss anything if you skip it. It didn't lay down any groundwork, no foundation for anything, nothing coming out. So, you know, if you miss it, no big. This cover here, though, for issue 7 coming out next month, I'm really liking. So I think I might just grab that just for the cover. No idea what the story is going to be about. So there we have that. That is X-23 number 6. And next up from Marvel Comics, we have Asgardians of the Galaxy number 3. Absolutely love this Dale Keown cover. Man, this thing is amazing. The dude's such an awesome artist. I wish he would do a regular series again. Anyway, so where we left off our Guardians. First off, we have Nebula controlling a armada of undead gods. Yes, when a god dies, then their soul goes into a new body, their husk is left behind, and she can now control them. So, we have her attacking the universe, trying to just test her new fleet, and she goes after the Shi'ar Empire. So here we have Gladiator and the Imperial Guard all taking on these, these lovely undead gods. And there's also these little backstories kind of intertwined on how each of them came to the Asgardians team. Back on a different planet, Netradine, they have these little child gods where our Asgardians are fighting. Nothing too exciting here. It's more just to keep them busy while she attacks the Shi'ar Empire. Still, some of the backstories, like here with Scourge on how he came to the team, really interesting. I like this. Really enjoyed this story. It started laying out more of the foundation for it on, you know, Nebula really wanting to be the most dangerous woman in the universe. She really wants to overthrow her sister, who she found out has killed Thanos. But she also has some feelings going on here. Like she finds these little Shi'ar children, and she feels bad for what's happening to them. Kind of interesting take. Really curious to see where this goes. Great storytelling on this one. And of course we have the Asgardians showing up and battling. The Destroyer armor ends up being destroyed by the husk of this old Loki god, revealing Kid Loki inside. So everybody knows now he is the puppet master pulling the strings. He wants this armada for his own means. Nobody knows why. And then eventually they are confronted by the Nova Corps. This leads us into the next issue. So this should be interesting. Maybe the Nova Corps is going to join them to try to stop this fleet. Don't know. Good read this week. Really enjoyed it. But, you know, I've actually enjoyed the last couple issues as well. So this is really no surprise on that. And that is our Asgardians of the Galaxy number 3. And next from Marvel Comics, we have Typhoid Fever X-Men number 1. This was a really interesting story. Now, the first thing that kind of threw me was when let me show you this cover here. I saw this cover and I was like, wow, this is actually really nifty artwork. But then you get into the interior and it's a lot more cartoony. I was not expecting that when I first jumped into this book. So we have Mary here, who was institutionalized, and the doctor did a experimental procedure and used a mutant named Amp. His name is Zachary, to try to go into her brain and shut down parts of it to kind of bring out her good side. Worked absolutely in the opposite, so now Typhoid is just attacking Hell's Kitchen. She wants to control this whole place, and the X-Men have come to stop her. That's pretty much this entire issue. It's just a whole back and forth with the X-Men fighting Typhoid Mary. Now, I'm not saying it was bad, but it did get a little repetitive. They did throw some fun things in here where she's screwing around with each and every one of their minds individually. Oh, and she's also controlling Spider-Man. So that was kind of neat to see how she tortured each one individually. This was a little awesome, too. They throw this little Lovers and Strangers, which is kind of a, a romantic sitcom sort of thing. Or maybe even a soap opera, I don't know, for a couple pages here where she had them believing they were these characters, and all of a sudden, Jean Grey bursts out of it. It was a little hard, though, still to get past this cartoony feel to it. And here she starts rewriting their history and making them believe things that didn't happen. Here's Bishop as a child, and the next page she's taking on Storm. It was good, but it wasn't the best that it could have been. Still, I mean, it was worth reading. If it's your thing, go ahead and grab it. If not, you're really not missing much. And that was Typhoid Mary X-Men number 1. Let me get back to that. And then next, from Image Comics, Blackbird number 2. This is one I was really looking forward to this week. Last month's review, I'm sure you guys, or actually, 4 weeks ago, I did the review on the number 1 issue of this. And I was really taken with it, so that was kind of neat. So, what do we have going on here? We have this awesome, great beast, which is just a beautiful cat creature who has kidnapped this girl named Marissa. Now, we have her sister, Nina, here. And Nina, her entire life, has believed there has been magic. When they were a child, she predicted an earthquake and saw this great beast along with a bunch of what they were called paragons, who are magic users, who set everything kind of correct and made everybody forget except for her. She was the only one that still remembered him. And of course, everyone thinks she's insane. So she sees this gentleman, his name is Clint, who she believed was a paragon, and then this giant cat beast kidnapped her sister. So this entire issue is her trying to find this paragon. Really, really laid out some great groundwork, and you have her doing some awesome detective work, which is great. It really flowed the story until eventually she stumbles upon this weird doorway, and it takes her to what I can only call is a Paragon nightclub, and she's like, holy crap, I'm not insane. But the thing is that she does have some magical ability because she can use their bracelets to manifest different abilities. Really, really cool. And of course, her cat starts talking, which is kind of neat. She does eventually end up finding Clint. And he tells her that he hasn't been stalking her or following her because there's this great black dog thing, which turns out to be him. And he's trying to protect her, that there is another cabal, the Polaris cabal, who wants her dead. And we find our little assassin here. Really, really good story. Very, very enjoyable this week. I'm so glad I picked this up and kept with it. Because, the number 1 issue, I was taken with it, but I was sort of on the fence. Really glad I grabbed this. So this is a definite read for the week. If you haven't read number 1, easy to find. Go back and pick it up. And then next up, also from Image Comics, we have Crowded number 4. This is another one that started out with a really great premise, but then seemed to drag on a little bit. So glad I picked up issue number 4. This one really, really progressed the story. So we have our Actually, well, he put a mustache on her there. This is Charlie. Her name is Charlotte. There is a Reaper campaign on this girl. What a Reaper campaign is, it's a crowdfund, almost like a Kickstarter, but for assassinations. There are people donating money to this thing. And it is now up over $2 million for her to die. We have this gentleman here who popped up last issue. His name is Trotter. He seems to be a professional at this. This is what he does. Then we also have Vita. Vita here is her bodyguard. Charlie has hired her. Last episode, we found out Charlie's or Vita's house was on fire, so that's where we're at now. I love the little things they put into this. Like we have the firefighters talking and we're going, hey, you know, we can use water, but you only have, you know, such and such a chance that your house is going to survive. Or if you want to pay more, you can use foam, and there's a 62% chance it'll survive. I love these little things they put into this. So we continue on here. They're still trying to figure out who put this campaign on her, what is going on. But this episode or this issue really starts diving into sort of the backstories of these people. It really focuses a lot on Trotter here, on how he was just this little kid who got picked on a lot in high school. He's trying to completely make people forget who he was. And then we have this other weird assassin here. They never give her a name, or they haven't yet. But we know she's an assassin. She's here in town. She's tracking Charlie. She's very, very dangerous just from everything we've seen. Again, we're back to focusing on Trotter. Really, really good. I'm liking this a lot. And then we have Vita here, who is also confronting Charlie, calling her, you know, pretty much she's useless, and she can see why people want to put an attack out on her. Charlie ends up running away. You know, I guess, oh, she feels bad, so she goes and does what she does best. She goes and she parties with friends. This is Charlie. Trotter goes on the news and starts pulling up interviews of all her past friends. And you can really, really see now that she is not a good person. You know, she's left people in lurches. She's destroyed their cars, all kinds of stuff. And then we leave her drunk and throwing up in a bathroom with a gun pointed to her head. Really, really good. I liked this. I like this story a lot. Like I said, it really has picked up from the last couple issues. It's really one you have to read to get all the full effect of it. Trust me, grab it. It's a lot of fun. And next up, also from Image Comics, Dead Rabbits #2. There's been a lot of hype around Dead Rabbits since the first issue. This is a great story. Image had a really good showing this week for books. Now, the story centers around this, I don't know, I guess you can call him an old bank robber, tough guy, hitman, who was retired for like the last 20 years, and this man is feared, and he robbed everyone. It doesn't matter who you were, rich. I mean, he did it. It doesn't matter. And now he's coming out of retirement. His name is Martin, and Martin has a wife named Megan who is really sick. She's in the hospital. He needs money, so that's bringing him out. This is him in all of his Dead Rabbit glory. And everybody still knows what this guy looks like, and they are afraid of him. So he goes and he tracks down his own wheelman, who he just aptly calls Wheels, which, you know, reminds me of American Dad. Wheels and the Leg Man. Anyway, so Wheels is like, yes, let's do this. Let's go rob a bank. It's been a long time and I'm bored. So they plan it out. They're going to hit a bank they hit many, many years ago. And I love this scene when they get into the bank and he tells the guy, empty out all your registers, no die packs. And he tells his manager, he's like, do you remember me? And he's like, yes. It's like, no die packs. He's not messing around. While this is happening, Wheels is out in the car getting drunk. Yeah, I don't think good things are going to happen after that. So, robbery goes off without a hitch. Runs out to the car. Wheels is nowhere to be seen, and then he finds him passed out behind the wheel. Tries to wake him up, doesn't work, so he goes all out because the cops are coming. I love this next scene. Pachow, there goes Wheels right through the windshield. So now the cops are coming. He decides he wants to leave Wheels behind, but he's like, damn it. So he grabs a shopping cart from a homeless dude, and he carts him all the way to the hospital. And it's the hospital where his wife stays, so he can get undressed quick and then act like he's visiting her. Perfect cover. Really, really good. So this whole time, everybody thinks that Dead Rabbit stole a lot of money from the Mafia, and he didn't. So here is the Mafia visiting Wheels. Now, good thing is, Wheels has no idea what this guy looks like or his real name. Really cool stuff. I'm really enjoying this story. A lot of action from beginning to end. It has some dark humor to it, which is a lot of fun. So that's Dead Rabbit number 2. This is a must-read this week. And next up, from Boom Studios, we have The Empty Man, number 1. Now, apparently this is the second Empty Man series that Cullen Bunn has written. And from what I'm hearing, the first one was a little disturbing, which sounds right up my alley. I'm really bummed I didn't read it, and I'm going to have to hunt it down now, because wow, was this good. So apparently there is an epidemic of a virus going around called the Empty Man virus. And this virus, it has many stages, and one of them is where people start hallucinating and seeing weird things. So we have our family here. We have... oh, who do we have? Oh, we have Andrew, who's the dad. We have Melissa, who's the mom. And we have Vicky, or Victoria, the daughter. So apparently, mom has contracted the Empty Man, and they are trying to hide this from people as the symptoms progress. Now, this really delves deep into this storyline. Really, really good. And they start going into almost like the human psyche, where people try to make sense of it. And cults start springing up, worshiping the Empty Man. Really, really crazy. A little over the top. I love it. Also, very gruesome with the way they describe everything. Here's some of the hallucinations that Melissa is seeing because of this Empty Man virus. I guess the last stage, they call it death, and where you actually see the Empty Man. Really interesting. So we have this crazy cult, is the only way I can explain it, who show up at his house, at Andrew's house, and they want to help out because, like I said, they worship this weird epidemic, and they're trying to save him. And then the FBI show up along with the CIA, or I'm sorry, FBI CDC Joint Task Force. Really crazy story. Like I said, I'm really bummed out. I never read the first one, but I will hunt it down now because this was really good, and it kind of screws with your head. I love it. Huge thumbs up from me. And next up, again from Marvel Comics, we have Marvel Knights number 1, the 20th anniversary of Marvel Knights. This is supposed to be a 6-issue miniseries, I believe, and each issue is going to be a different writer. And this one here is Donny Cates, and next month I guess it's going to be Matt Rosenberg, which is really, really awesome. So we start off with Matt Murdock over Karen Page's grave saying, "I don't know why I'm here." This was really, it just kind of like hits you right in the face, and it's like, what's going on? And then you start realizing Matt Murdock's like, "I'm lost. I don't know how I got here. I don't know who I am. Who are you, Karen Page?" And it's like, he doesn't remember. And then all of a sudden, this cop shows up and he says, "You're Daredevil." And he's like, "Don't be afraid. I'm here to help. I won't hurt you." And then you realize this guy is Frank Castle. This is the Punisher, who also doesn't remember who he is. And then the mystery just deepens from here, and he tries explaining to him that he was awakened by a symbol. But he has a little piece of paper written down. He knows all about Daredevil. He was blinded as a kid, yada, yada. But he doesn't know his real name, which is kind of interesting. Matt Murdock tries to run because we have this crazy guy who's telling him he's the Daredevil of Hell's Kitchen. And then he's exposed to the costume. And he wakes up and he remembers a lot of who he was. I love this picture here. Look at this. It's just a bunch of the different Daredevils throughout the history of the comic. Love that. And it just all comes back to him. But then he realizes, he doesn't like Frank Castle and he wants to do this alone. Oh, and Frank Castle here, this dude in the back, he's like, "So how'd that go?" And he's like, "As well as it did as the guy with the claws." So we see that he's already talked, he did himself, he's talked to Logan, he's talked to Steve Rogers, Captain America, now he's talked to Matt Murdock, and he's going on to Elektra next. All these people do not remember who they are, and he needs to go wake them up. And then we have Good old Bullseye over here, again, does not know who he is. Huge mystery. We don't have any clue. So Matt Murdock makes it back to Foggy, and Foggy's like, I don't know who you are. And here's good old Jennifer Walters, and she's like, we have no idea who you are. This is really neat. Matt Murdock's like, I can prove who I am. Here. And he shows him his ID card for the Bar Association. But to Foggy, it's just a blank card. He doesn't see it. So nobody's remembering anything. I mean, where is this story going? This is really, really crazy. Oh, here. Look, the Fantastic Four. And we got Ben Grimm. And when he looks into a reflection, he sees his old himself. They don't even know who they are. No idea. Really, really great. I loved this story. This was so cool. I had so much fun with this. And then we kick into Bullseye again, who's supposed to be following this Murdoch guy. And you realize it's the Kingpin who hired him to follow Murdoch and to try to figure out what is all going on. And again, the Kingpin does not remember who he is either. So then we have somebody visiting Kingpin. Pure terror. When was the last time you saw Kingpin in pure terror? Well, that only means Doom. Dr. Doom, Crossbones, Taskmaster, they are behind this. This is an absolutely amazing story. I had so much fun with this. This was awesome to read. I cannot wait to find out where this is going. This is just pure insanity. And this is like 30 pages of goodness, so that was really cool. Huge, huge, huge thumbs up. And last book for the week from IDW, we have Road of the Dead, Highway to Hell. I really didn't have huge expectations for this book. You know, you've read one zombie book, you've pretty much read them all, right? Well, I'm glad to report that was not the case. This book was actually a lot of fun. So we start off with our soldiers here, and this gentleman's name is Steve Hansen. Steve Hansen was on a trip across the country to go fend off some biker gangs or something like that who happened to be stealing relief and rescue supplies. And the government sent him out there. So his whole group, or his little battalion here, gets attacked by the undead and overrun. He is the last one left. He tries fighting them off to the best of his ability, but right before he gets overrun, he also gets saved by our next hero here, whose name is Sean. And as Sean says, I am a badass. Sean is leading a group of people who are taking this woman here, her name is Dr. Harriet Jane, who's a microbiologist, to Canada to try to get to a lab. She thinks she can come up with a cure. Now, we've all heard a lot about this, right? And they're like, oh crap, you got a tank, so let's get moving. So he's like, all right, I'll come along. Now, they're traveling across the country on the highway of hell, and they get ambushed along the way. This was actually a really gruesome scene here. Dude gets an arrow right through his mouth. And you're like, well, what is going on? And these are normal people that are attacking them, shooting them, taking them down. Come to find out, right before the huge epidemic just took off, it was announced on the radio that she had the cure already. So now we have these groups who are fighting to get her because they want the cure and they think the government is hiding the cure. I did not see that coming. So this entire story seems like it's not going to be so much about the zombies, but more about, you know, the human condition and the will to survive. So we have this group attacking. We have Steve Hansen here getting into his tank and just decimating everyone. And wow, I mean, this little scene here was kind of heartbreaking. You have all these bodies, and he's like, hey, do you see? And he just breaks down and cries because he had to kill these civilians in order to give the world a chance to survive. They progress on, and they come across said biker gang who now wants them. And they want to like sell them to the highest bidder. This was so good. The dialogue was great. The artwork was great. Storytelling, the plots, the layout was all superior. This was a great story this week. And I'm really thinking this might be my story of the week right here. You know, Road to Hell and Marvel Knights. I think these two right here are tied for my story of the week. These were a lot of fun. All right, so now back to the recap. Like I said, Road of the Dead right here, Highway to Hell, and Marvel Knights 1. Those are my picks of the week. So those right there, great reads, huge thumbs up. Empty Man, number 1. Right here. This was a great story too. This is a huge thumbs up for me as well. I'm definitely going to grab the original series because wow, I need to find more backstory on this. Crazy. And this cover is beautiful. Actually, I got all my books right here. This is probably my pick of the week for cover too. All right, so then we also have Dead Rabbit number 2. Huge thumbs up. Great story. X-23. As soon as the cover decides to come up. X-23 number 6. This one here, it was fun. It wasn't the best story so far, but you know, it was enjoyable. It is a standalone, so if it's not your thing, you can bypass it. Asgardians of the Galaxy number 3, another thumbs up. This was a good story. It lays down some more foundation. I'm really eager to see how this is going to turn out. Typhoid Fever X-Men number 1. You know, the artwork was really lacking and it really detracted from the story, so I think it could have been better. So, you know, I think I'll plant this firmly on the meh stack. You can go either way with it. Blackbird number 2. Glad I picked this issue up. This laid down some nice foundation for the next coming issues. I want to see where it goes. And then the last book for the week, Crowded number 4. Another one I am glad I picked up because now they're started going into the backstories of all the individual characters that pop up. I'm really hoping issue number 5 delves into the unknown woman since they haven't even given her a name yet. All right, people. Those are my books for the week. These are my opinions. Your mileage may vary. Like always, to my current subscribers, you guys are awesome. I love you. You're beautiful. Every single one of you. Keep liking, keep commenting. I love the comments. I love talking books. If there's a book here that you read that I didn't, let me know what you thought of it. Maybe I'll check it out. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the little CV down in the corner. And on the opposite side, hit that notification bell up top. So that way you get all my good stuffs. And like always, guys, thank you so much for watching and take it easy.